The NCAA Women's Volleyball Rules Committee has created this video to communicate the rule changes, clarifications, and points of emphasis for the 2017 season. We will include some of the same visual training and language that is used to train officials who attend the preseason NCAA PAVO national clinics. The committee hopes that if coaches, players, and officials all hear a consistent message, the implementation of these changes will be as uneventful as possible. These are the members of the NCAA Women's Volleyball Rules Committee, who met in January 2017. The committee meets in person each January. In even-numbered years, the committee reviews all the rules and considers rule changes for the coming season. In odd-number years, the committee develops rules clarifications, points of emphasis, and discusses new trends and topics submitted by coaches and administrators. Annually, the committee reviews all rule change proposals that have been submitted by coaches and administrators, as well as the results of the coaches' survey and injury reports. In addition to the in-person meeting each January, the committee has monthly conference calls during the volleyball season. There are typically 8 voting members on the committee, but due to job changes that necessitated committee changes, there were only 7 at the time of the 2017 meeting. Once the Volleyball Rules Committee votes to approve the rule changes, they are sent to PROP, that is the Playing Rules Oversight Panel, which is an NCAA committee that reviews rules for all NCAA sports. PROP is charged with considering financial impact, safety issues, or concerns about the integrity of the game. Once PROP approves the changes, they are put into effect. 3 new members of the NCAA Women's Volleyball Rules Committee will start a 3-year term on September 1st, 2017. Lori Corbelli, Jennifer Flowers, and Philip Piontek. Let's review the representatives that make up the committee. As you can see, there are 8 voting members on the Rules Committee. 4 are from Division I, and there are 2 each from Division II and Division III. Terms for committee members begin on September 1st each year, and there is a staggered rotation of terms, so there will be new members joining the committee each September. The contact information for the committee members can be found on the NCAA website at ncaa.org/playingrules. Please feel free to contact any of the committee members with your thoughts or concerns about the rules. 2017 is not a rule change year. However, there are some rule changes that will go into effect in 2019. Beginning in 2019, the jersey number must be of a color that is clearly in distinct contrast with the color of the jersey, irrespective of any border around the number. This change was driven by input from coaches. Coaches were having trouble seeing the players' numbers on scouting videos when the number color was similar to the jersey color, even if the number was trimmed. Requiring the number color to contrast from the jersey color will provide a clearer view of the jersey number for the officials, coaches, scorers, fans, and media. This rule will take effect for the 2019 season. Beginning in 2019, the jersey may contain a single conference logo. The logo may not exceed 3x5 or 4x4 square inches. The conference logo must not obstruct the uniform number. The previous rules language had no restrictions on the size or number of conference logos. This change provides new guidelines for conference logos while ensuring visibility of the uniform number. These restrictions on size and number will go into effect in 2019. During the 2016 season, there has been an increase in non-playing team members celebrating every point, which brings excitement to the sport of volleyball. However, some of the celebrations have become very pronounced and not in compliance with the NCAA rules regarding location of the substitutes' locations. The rule states that substitutes are team members in uniform who are eligible to enter the match and are located on the team bench or in the team warm-up area, except for medical necessity. After a play has ended, a normal, spontaneous response is allowed in the area up to the sideline extended, as long as the team members return immediately to their warm-up area. Let's watch the substitutes for the team in white. The substitutes celebrate at the end of the rally in the area up to the sideline extended, and then immediately return to the warm-up area. This new point of emphasis allows behavior like this. This behavior expresses the excitement of the game without delaying the game. If non-playing team members go beyond the extension of the sideline after the rally has ended, the referees will remind a coach that the non-playing team members should not enter the area past the sideline extended. This behavior needs to be addressed. If players are standing behind the court inside the sideline extended during the rally, it must be addressed or a delay sanction assessed. This action needs to be addressed immediately. Behavior during celebrations. Misconduct, as defined by Rules 6.1.1 and 6.1.2, apply to non-playing team members in the same manner as coaches and players on the court. Players in the warm-up area participating in actions that display disgust with an official's call or no call, or celebrations that display rude and/or vulgar acts may be sanctioned with the same discretion applied to any other participant. Using props, for example, a hat that says double or a cane and sunglasses to imply a blind ref, will also be sanctioned. This year, the Rules Committee is making safety near the center line a primary focus. This focus will be discussed in detail during the preseason NCAA PAVO National Clinics for referees. There are 2 rules that apply when a player crosses the center line. The first, Rule 15.2.4.1, applies only when a player's hands and/or foot or feet have partially crossed the center line. In this rule, a player is allowed to partially cross the center line into the opponent's court as long as a portion of the player's hand or hands or foot or feet is in contact with or directly above the center line. The player encroaching into the opponent's court cannot interfere with the opponent's ability to play the ball. In both photos here, the player is legally crossing the center line. The second rule that applies to crossing the center line, Rule 15.2.4.2, covers 2 different circumstances. First, it applies to feet or hands if they completely cross the center line. And secondly, it applies to all other body parts that encroach into the opponent's courts. In the first photo, the foot is completely across the center line. This is legal because there are no players in the area. In the second photo, the knee has crossed the center line, and since there is a player nearby, the encroaching knee has created a safety hazard, so a center line fault must be called. The same ruling would apply to the first picture if there was an opponent near the encroaching foot. The intent of this rule was to allow for inadvertent contact with the opponent's court, such as a setter pushing off or a player going under the net when no opponent was anywhere near the encroachment. In the first scene, the setter completely crosses the center line as she pushes off, but there is no opponent in the area at the time of the encroachment. This is a good no call. In the second scene, the opponent is clearly close enough that there is a safety concern. This should always be called. A safety hazard occurs when a player from one side of the court is under the net and in close proximity to an opponent. Physical contact is not required to create a safety concern. Centerline non-calls should be the exception, not the other way around. Here are some videos that show officials were not sure if the play created a safety issue. Let's watch this video. The player on the right rolls under the net. Even though the opponent is backing up, this fault must be called. On the next video, we see the player slide her knee across the center line. The player is close enough to the opponent to warrant a center line fault. In conclusion, the officials will be receiving very detailed information and training regarding the center line and safety. We wanted to make the coaches aware that this is one of the major points of emphasis for the 2017 season. The NCAA Rules Committee has approved the Challenge Review System, or CRS. This process allows coaches to challenge certain officials' decisions, resulting in a video review of the play. The Rules Committee feels it is important to use current technology to help officials make the most accurate decisions possible. Any institution or conference may use the Challenge Review System, but there is no requirement to do so. The rules do not define the equipment required, camera type, number of cameras, or location. Let's take a look at some interesting statistics from the 2016 season. 48 schools in 10 Division I conferences used the Challenge Review System. For all of 2016 CRS matches, the scorer and second referee collaborated to keep stats on the challenged calls, and the results are shown here. Here are some interesting stats submitted by the second referee after all CRS matches in 2016. The most challengeable action was the ball contacting a player or touch. Statistics on the results of challenged calls are shown here. It is interesting to note that the sum of the confirmed decisions and the reverse decisions demonstrate that over 80% of the time, the referees had good enough video to make a decision, even with no regulations about the number, type, or placement of cameras. Please remember that the 37% reversal rate includes plays that were viewed using slow motion, freeze frame, zoom in, and multiple angles. That technology allowed the second referee to see things that the human eye cannot perceive. The Rules Committee has a goal of about a minute and a half for a typical challenge. It's interesting to note that in 2015, the average length of a challenge was a minute 37 seconds. After a year of practice and some improved equipment, the challenge time was reduced by 13 seconds for the 2016 season to a minute 24 seconds. We asked the referees to note if they thought a challenge was being used as a timeout or a stall tactic. 94.8% of the time, the referees thought the challenge was legitimate. There are 6 possible challenges per match. In 2016, the average challenges used per match was 2.53. Out of 360 matches using CRS, 18 matches used no challenges, and only 6 matches used all 6. This is a refresher, since 2016 was the first season that the CRS rule was implemented for all schools. The Women's Volleyball Rules Committee has established that these CRS guidelines be followed. 3 challenges per team per match. Once a challenge is accepted, the number of permitted challenges for that team is reduced by 1, regardless of the outcome of the challenge. Challenges do not reduce a team's timeouts. Only the team that lost the rally may challenge. Only 1 challenge per team will be allowed. Once a particular play has been challenged and the official's decision is reversed, the opposing coach cannot challenge that same decision, requiring a re-review of the same video. However, the opposing coach can challenge a different aspect or ruling from the same rally. For example, a particular net contact is challenged by Team A, and the decision is reversed after review. The Team B coach can then challenge a different net contact or any other challengeable ruling on that same rally. Only 1 challenge per team will be permitted each time the ball is out of play. The coaches have a limited amount of time to challenge after a rally ends. Once the first referee's arm is extended to beckon for the next service, no challenges will be allowed. At the end of a set or match, the official should allow approximately the same amount of time that is allowed between rallies. Once the referee signals the end of the set or match, no challenges will be allowed. What can be challenged? Net faults by a player, including contact with the antenna, whether the ball pushed the net into the player or whether the player was in the act of playing the ball when the net contact occurred. Ball contacting a player. This can be a decision about a player touching or not touching a ball at the net or anywhere on the court, or for hits. Ball ruled in or out, including pancakes, a ball touching or not touching an antenna, ceiling, or any object. Service foot faults. It was quickly realized that communication about the nature and outcome of the challenge needed to be improved and emphasized. It is important for all match participants, coaches and players, in-house fans and TV viewers, and other members of the officiating team know as much as possible about the characteristics of the challenge. In that effort, a signal was devised to indicate that the review of the pertinent video was inconclusive, and therefore the original call stands. The 2017 season is right around the corner. Good luck as you begin play, and thanks for taking time to become more familiar with the rule changes, clarifications, and points of emphasis for the upcoming season.